the Corinthian 15 or 15 students who were defrauded by a private corporation called Corinthian Colleges Incorporated, and now they are taking a stand against that criminal entity by refusing to pay the debts that were accumulated, how shall we put it, unjustly, certainly unjustly, probably fraudulently. Now, this is a great thing, and they deserve everyone's support. They're supported by great writers like Rebecca Solnit and Naomi Klein, Bill McKibben. A number of other leaders are supporting them. I think it's a great cause, but let's go a little deeper, too. Let's use the Corinthian 15 as a symbol for what this nation has done and done wrong for the millennial generation. It is truly an outrage. First of all, on principle, this country should have free education. It should not be required to go into a kind of indentured servitude of debt in order to become educated in this country. But also, I think we need to go even deeper and talk about how that is a necessary change, free education, because we have created an economy that cheats young people. Here are three signs of it I'd love to talk to you about. First of all, it is proven by economic studies that people typically achieve most of their earnings gain, their salary gains, in the first 10 years of employment. In other words, if I'm going to go from $10,000 a year to $50,000 a year, I'll make up most of that difference in the first 10 years of employment. That's from a study by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Not exactly outrageous lefties, but they've studied 40 years worth of data, and that is their conclusion. So, in other words, these early years, let's say the years 25 to 35 in age, represent the greatest opportunity to make a good lifetime income. Okay, so those first years of income are critical. Now, sign number two that we're cheating our young people. Today's young Americans are trying to build careers in what is a historically tough job market. The unemployment rate for younger workers between the ages of 18 and 34, peaked at more than 13% in 2010, and that doesn't include the underemployed or discouraged workers. They are still feeling the drag of that now as they move into their older years. A recent White House report on millennials observed that, quote, younger workers have less experience and more tenuous connection to employers than older workers, so they are also often laid off in greater numbers and have to compete against more experienced workers for new jobs. So we've got that. We've got the challenge of underemployment for our young people because the job boom since the recession has focused on service jobs, not high quality jobs. Lower wage industries constitute 22% of recession losses, but 44% of recovery growth. In other words, twice as many of the jobs in the good employment figures are low-wage industrial jobs. Mid-wage, this holds true all the way through. We now find that millennials must struggle to establish their careers and their career earnings under these kinds of challenging conditions. Look, the White House report notes that workers who start their career during a recession earn as much as 9% less every year for almost 15 years after starting a career. So you put that together, the 10%, nearly 10% loss in income during the first critical years, and that lasting 15 years, that means we're robbing at least 10% from our young people's lifetime earnings. And at the same time, that gets us to point number three. Millennials are facing the highest student debt burden in history. Again, let's put those two facts together. 10% less in income, probably 10% less in lifetime income, together with the fact that they have the highest student debt burden in history. So let's talk about that. 41 million Americans now carry student debt, a figure that rose 40% between the years 2004 and 2012. According to the National Center for Education Statistics, the average amount owed for each graduating borrower has risen from less than $10,000 in 1993, that's in stable dollars, to more than $30,000 in 2014. The total amount of student debt currently owed is $1.3 trillion. That it makes it the second largest category of debt in the nation, and studies show that that debt is disproportionately affecting lower income households. So this burden is the most onerous among the lower income people who have to do the most to get ahead in life. It's hampering the financial prospects of young graduates, in fact, according to studies, at all but the very highest income levels. In other words, these three ways in which we are cheating our millennial generation are also increasing the income inequality that is devastating our nation. So let's go over this once again. Young Americans face a weak job market, crushing student debt, and an economy in which their current earnings determine their financial future for a lifetime. These three signs add up to one stark reality. A nation which prides itself on being the land of opportunity is closing the avenues of opportunity for an entire generation. There are ways to change that, but only if we take action. An aggressive job program for younger Americans combined with student debt relief would certainly be a start. In the end, however, we can't solve the problems of young Americans without solving the inequality and wage stagnation which hamper the economy for most Americans. We will still need a pro-growth, pro-jobs, pro-middle class agenda for all Americans. One thing is clear. Until we take action, a nation which sings anthems to its young, teach the children well, I believe the children are our future and all that, will have abdicated its responsibility towards its young people. That is unacceptable. I am Richard RJ Eskow, and this is The Zero Hour.